Well, hey, and welcome to the Becoming Better podcast. My name's Nate, and I'm so glad you're here. Well, on today's episode, Josh, David, and I sit down and talk about Grant's message on the young widows. If you haven't listened to Sunday's message, then I want to encourage you to stop here and give that a listen, as that will help make this conversation make more sense to you. Well, if you're interested in the things happening around campus this week, you can go to quadcity.church/events. And if you're looking to get more plugged into Quad City and making Quad City your church home, one of the best ways is to join a group or a life group or a discipleship group. And you can do that at quadcity.church/groups, or you can call the office and we can get you plugged in. Well, without further ado, we hope you enjoy this conversation. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, Nate.
Happy Monday.
How are you guys?
I'm good, man. How are you, bud?
I'm good. So, in one of my favorite movies, let's see if I'm gonna.
Oh, we're just getting right
we're
into
going
it.
We're getting right into the
No
movie.
preamble. Nothing.
Okay.
Okay, come on. One of Nate's favorite movies.
One of my favorite movies came out in 1999, and it was called Smart House.
Oh yeah, it
Disney.
had
Katie Siegel.
Ren. She was on Ren Steven,
Yep.
or right? Wasn't she like
Yeah.
Even Stevens' sister or something? Wasn't that her?
You're thinking of yes. What's her name?
Man,
So
what was
hard.
the mom in that one? Man, what was the mom?
You know what's so funny?
Is the mom the Married with Children mom?
Yes. So
Boom.
that's her, Katie Siegel.
Yeah,
Yep.
Katie Siegel. There's a couple of things. One, I've never seen this film. I've never even heard of this film. I was thinking of a different movie.
So
It's a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bro.
Exclusive. This is
Yep.
awesome.
So the
Yeah.
premise of the movie is single dad, wife passes away, and he has two kids, and his son signs him up for this contest to win this smart house.
Yep.
So it's all AI. Like he says, "Hey, I want a sandwich," and the smart house makes him a sandwich. So, but like there's a storm, and the house gets all wonky, and the AI takes over, and
Hey.
she thinks she's like the mom. So
And she like comes,
Yo.
like character like comes
Yeah,
to life,
yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So thinking about smart houses and just the way technology is going
Hmm.
And- in Austin, Texas, yesterday,
Oh no.
Elon just launched his first robot taxi service. So my question to you guys is, are you for it? Or are you against it?
Am I for specifically robot taxis?
Yeah. So we've had it. If you ever travel down to Phoenix, they have the Waymos.
Yeah.
And a lot of big cities have that. But Elon just launched his own taxi company. So what do you guys think? How do you guys feel? Obviously, here in Prescott, it's a little different. We're not going to be taking taxis everywhere.
Right. I don't even Uber.
Yeah.
I've never taken an Uber.
Yep.
Ever.
Ever?
Well, not
Nope.
even in like when you gone
Wow.
to Nashville or
No.
Oh.
I just rent a car, man. I want to
Wow.
drive. I want to drive my own self. I enjoyed driving. Like I actually like it. I don't mind to drive. I don't have the Uber app. Just until recently, when I had to book something for our lead team,
Yeah.
I never even booked like an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Like I'm a hotel now. I'm a hotel guy. I like hotel. But
Okay.
It's
Do
fun.
I-
Yeah.
do I like if I had to be in a place that took a taxi all the time,
Yeah.
is it like the Waymo? No.
Yeah. So no driver.
No driver?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So like
I do have the Terminator in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Terminator. But however, now the Terminator didn't have taxis in it, but you know what film had robot taxis? It's Total Recall. And it didn't go so hot.
Yeah.
That
No,
robot taxi
that was an
tried,
awful movie.
tried to kill that
I
man.
should not
Yeah.
have been allowed to watch
Yeah.
my childhood.
God.
If that tells you anything about my childhood or David's,
Yeah.
for that matter,
Definitely watched that movie many times
Nate's
as a
over,
child.
Nate's
Yeah.
over here talking about the Disney Channel
Yeah.
classic. and David breaks out Total Recall,
Yep.
which is not a family friend. So
It
if
is
you are
not.
under the age, don't go watch that movie.
Also, it makes me think of the self-driving vehicles in the slightly less awful for children Demolition Man.
Oh, it's classic. Wesley Snipes.
Classic.
And,
I go to
That's-
iRobot. That's the other one I go
Yeah.
to.
yeah. So is
With Will
Elon's how is his different than the Waymo?
I think it's just it's
branding.
all through-
Competition.
Yeah, competition all through him.
Is it all Teslas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess on the surface of it, I'm for it. because it's kind of nice not to have to talk to somebody you don't know. Like you get in a taxi with somebody, you get into an Uber. Now I've gotten into an Uber. Like I went to Atlanta a while back and didn't want to rent a car. So there was only a couple of times I had to drive, went in an Uber. It was fine. But if that person driving the Uber just wasn't there, it might have been a slightly better experience.
Really?
And it wasn't bad. It just might have been even better.
How much do they talk to you when you Uber? Like what's the, I mean,
so I just,
can you like on your app be like, hey, I want somebody who doesn't talk to me?
That'd be awesome. I just went to San Diego for a couple of days this last weekend and we Ubered everywhere. And it was like a 50-50. We either had like a really good conversation or they got weird on us.
That's the problem.
Very political.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's the problem though, man. We're having less and less like face-to-face interactions with
like
people.
Forced intentional interactions.
We're just not good at it anymore as people.
Yeah.
No.
So I think got to play a part into, but by a general rule, it feels like you should avoid the politics.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's interesting about being in a larger city is like, obviously that doesn't apply to us. But like when I've visited Manhattan and places like you're forced into interactions with people you don't know all the time. So you have to kind of grow that muscle a little bit more. But America, by and large, while it may not all be rural, is most of the country is not these centers of oh my gosh, not industry. What am I trying to say? Anyway, city centers.
Yeah.
So you get, by and large, I guess, less forced interaction with strangers.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Be as good at it.
Yeah.
But I would say that was the first thing I talked to Sarah about. Like she was like, "How's your trip?" I'm like, "Oh, let me tell you. First Uber driver, this. Second Uber driver, this and this." So it does add.
So we're not even like the thing I need them to do is drive.
Yeah.
I don't really like, we don't judge them on that though. That's what's so funny. Cause I always hear this when people talk about their Uber being a bad experience. It's never because the person's a bad driver.
Oh no.
Ever. Which is what you're paying them to just drive you.
It's usually like I opened the door and there was a stank.
Yeah, it smelled weird. Yeah. And again, I get it right. There's no way I could Uber.
Yeah.
My truck has, like right now, it has 7 hats in the back because of baseball. It's got a kid's pair of cleats and a water bottle.
There's some French fries on the floor in there somewhere.
And there, I heard a pizza crust in the door. Like it had fallen down in there the other day. I was cleaning it out. It was as like I could have knocked somebody out with it. It was so hard. So I for sure couldn't Uber.
Yeah.
Like I'm out. The wife's vehicle.
You got to have like a dedicated car for it.
Yeah, you do.
Yep.
Like this is the Uber car. I think I would enjoy it. Man.
Well, I know like Rob did like Uber Eats when he was here.
I don't want to take people their food.
Yeah, that's a little interesting.
I don't want to take people their food. I don't want to get out and have to watch somebody's door. You guys don't ever. I don't even like answering the door my own self. So
for your own home,
and we ain't even got no peephole, so it makes me so mad. My door doesn't have a peephole, so I can't like look and be like, oh,
we're not home.
I don't want to talk to you. I do be on Fridays, bro. Somebody knock on that door. I'm like, Amen, shh.
Oh my gosh!
Don't answer. Don't answer. It's probably a salesman.
Yeah.
So probably a salesman. Don't answer. He's like, Daddy, we gotta be quiet. I'm like, yeah, we gotta be quiet.
Yeah.
The issue is my 3-year-old or my dog will give me away because they'll go right to that front window, looks right where my door is. So they'll just poke their head out. What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing? You know?
Yeah, I'm interested. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Nate? Would you rather have have you done Waymo in Phoenix?
I haven't done Waymo yet in Phoenix.
Okay.
So
maybe we should do a podcast in the Waymo.
Let's go.
Malcolm Gladwell did it for revisionist history really early when they started.
Yeah.
And they like tried to hit things and it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like tried to be in a parking lot and jump out in front of it and the car would like redirect.
Yep.
I mean, we do a podcast on the road in a Waymo.
Yeah.
I think it's doable. What's interesting is like, we talk about things like Uber and like these Waymos and these like self-driving taxis and stuff. How much public transit have y'all taken before? How many times have you been on a subway or a city bus? Because those are a very different experience.
Yes. So back before I was 10, that's the only way we traveled. Mom didn't have her license. So go to the grocery store, city bus. So
no way.
And in Phoenix, that's not fun. So but I do remember, standing at the stop at 105 outside
in the shade. Yeah.
a lot of the bus stops didn't have shade. They just had the metal pole with the sign that said bus stop. So, but yeah, we did a subway in Boston. That was fun.
Yeah, I did that.
That was
I did Harvard. I did the train line to Boston. Only on places I visited. I didn't even take the school bus to school, bro. No. Like first day of 7th grade, rode the school bus, came home, and I ain't doing that again. I'm riding with friends.
Yep.
I was like, I got tons of friends. Somebody can give me a ride to school.
Yep.
So, and then we moved to Harrisburg, and it's small. And
you can just walk.
Rural. Yeah. No, I wasn't walking. I had people. Hang
on a second. Nobody's talking about walking.
Nah, bro, you're talking crazy now. But yeah, I've never done a lot of public transportation. I don't think I've ever been in a taxi in the traditional like taxi.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know why I would have been.
Yeah.
Maybe in Atlanta or Nashville or something. Oh man.
Yeah, I've always wanted to take like the trolley, but I've never spent a lot of time on the West Coast, right? So I mean, in fact, my only experience in California, period, is getting stuck at LAX for a few days while I was trying to visit this place. So like, not the best experience ever. Well, and our staff retreat in Ramona, which is just this little haven, you know. Yeah. So, but subways are cool, man. Subways are so interesting because the different people that you see. City transit by and large is interesting, but subways are so long, so many people can get on them. Yeah. Like you just see so many different versions. You see the guy in the $3,500 suit and sitting right next to the homeless guy, sitting right next to the aspiring DJ who is actively mixing on and you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like I
guess Dallas. Dallas, I rode. So when we went to a Dallas Mavericks game and what I go to? I went to LSU game at Dallas Cowboys Stadium. We did subways there. They had one you could jump on and go really cheap. You could park at a restaurant, eat, and you could then hop on the train. So I guess I've been on a few, but not like for my everyday life, like jumping on the L, like in Chicago, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't done. But those have been automated.
There's elevated trains in Denver too.
And those have been automated forever.
Yeah.
And we don't even think about it.
Yep.
To your point, the taxi feels weird because
it's not on a rail.
It's not on a rail. Yep. It's controlled.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel.
Maybe it beats taking a bike. I don't know. Yeah,
I even.
I will say I would love to see the price point on it. Like if it's cheaper than taking an Uber, because that's the one thing I did notice. Like depending on what time of day you're driving, where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Uber be different prices?
And how quick you need to get there.
Yeah, they change the prices on.
Oh, no, I don't like that.
So, and you can select like if you want to go Uber XL, like you'll only get the SUVs to come pick you up.
I'm gonna need that. I can't be getting in no Hyundai Sonata.
Yep,
like some little bitty baby car. I can't get in that.
Yeah. I just think some dude pulls up in a Geo Metro and is like, "I'm looking for Josh." Like, I'm the size of this car, man. What do you want from me?
It's not gonna work, man. We're gonna need to do that again.
Yep.
And you get in the back seat too. That's I think why I don't like it. I very rarely sit in the back of a vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's like back there. It's been so long, bro, since I've been in the back of a vehicle. I think that's why I don't even know. The taxi, like the seats don't move. Like I just feel like I don't know if like Uber, you don't get in the front, right? Unless there's a bunch of you.
Yeah. There's a bunch. Yeah. But it's the other cool thing. Uber, like all these drivers are putting in like iPads into the back seat.
They want those high ratings, man.
Yeah. So
they get more money that way.
And they have every charger you need, and some of them have drinks in them.
Complimentary mints.
Yeah.
So it's like the bathroom attendant.
Well, exactly. Sometimes you see like things will pop up on social media and stuff of like somebody's Uber experience, and it'll be like they'll sit in the car and there's a little piece of paper taped to the back or like a laminated sheet that's like, hey, if you want to talk, we can talk. If you don't want to talk, I'll be quiet. Like enjoy the complimentary, ice water, and you can pick the radio station and all this stuff because they're trying to get those 5 stars, man.
Yep.
You need that 5 star.
You need that 5 star.
So
they're just trying to. Elon's trying to get rid of people.
He is.
He's just trying to get us out of the people business.
Well,
as somebody who's in the people business, I feel like maybe I should be more concerned.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys weren't here back in 2017, maybe 18. Someone cut the fiber line to all of northern Arizona.
What?
Like on accident or
like
an act of domestic terrorism?
They're out in like New River, Black Canyon City, and they dug it up and cut through it because they were looking for something. So we had no internet, our phones didn't work, no cell phone service, couldn't go to the banks.
How long? How many days we talking?
It was like 3 days of none of that. So that's the only thing that scares me when these cars are like
all of that stuff. Yeah. What happens if you lose the Wi-Fi?
Yeah. So getting locked into a car.
I remember like 2008, Cincinnati had a dry hurricane that came through the Galveston area. It was like 100-mile-an-hour wind. It was crazy. I had youth group kids walking across the street. I was like, get in my house right now. Like it was
you told me about that. Yeah.
Transformers blew 1 week of no power.
Yeah. Oh man.
So you just hung out with people.
Yeah.
And like grilled all kinds of food
because the freezer was dying.
Yeah, freezer was like, oh man. So then people started busting in them deep freezers.
Yep.
It was like that meat been in for it was like, well, I guess we can cook this.
Yeah.
Because it was like day 3, you were like, we're not gonna make it.
Yep.
You know? And we were in a little bit of a poor neighborhood, so we did not get our power back as soon as everybody else in the city. But it was all over, like literally Galveston straight through. So all Tennessee and all that. So but that was 5 days without any of that stuff.
Yeah,
it's crazy to like. I mean, that's hurricane life. I'm sure in Florida.
That was 2004 in particular in Central Florida because we got over the course of 6 weeks, I think it was, maybe it was 8 weeks. We got 4 major hurricanes, so 4 category 4 or higher hurricanes.
Man,
and it was wild. It was like the first one knocked power out for 14 days, and then the next one it was like, oh, maybe you were okay, and then the one that came after that knocked power out for a week and change. And it was the same thing. People are just in their front yards with their charcoal grills. Yeah. Because they're not using the gas. They're like holding it just in case.
Just
cooking
in case.
Everything in the freezer. Yeah. Tonight we're having chicken wings and hot dogs. Like, just
having parties, man.
Having parties.
You got to know your neighbors so well.
Taking that cold shower.
It was like, man, this is enjoyable.
Yeah.
Right? It was this like reset for a week of just life.
Yep.
Kind of deal.
Low tech.
But yeah, if I'm in a car in that moment and it's driving by Wi-Fi, that gets a lot more interesting.
Yep.
It's got to have 1,000 backups.
Yeah.
Sure. It's got to have satellite backup.
I think he's using the Starlink.
Direct Starlink, probably.
So he's not dependent on power.
No.
So.
But he does have to charge those vehicles,
He does. You're correct. Yeah. So that's a good question, Nate. I like that. So. Yeah. I wonder where our listeners fall.
Yeah. Let me know if you guys have driven in one of those or how you feel about it. So. Let's jump in. We were in week 35 of our series, and we had Grant Agler here with us. And what'd you guys think about him?
Yeah, it's always good to have Grant around. So for those of you who've been around for a while, like Jason said, Grant used to come pretty often. Mm-hmm. Him and Jason went to school together, and he was one of the guys that Jason would call in and come teach for him. But Grant got a job as lead pastor, and just like Jason said, he's been somewhat busy, leading a church and teaching and preaching and doing that now. We hadn't seen him in probably 2 years.
Yeah,
I think, you know, so it's cool to just get to connect with him. We got to talk before church started and hear how his church is going. And it was cool. He's asking about Jason, because they like know each other, like, hey, how's his sabbatical going and all that stuff. So I said, good, I think. I mean, he's off on the journey now, just going to see all the people. So, it was cool, right? Grant has a unique ability to be able to preach without any notes.
Yes.
And so, it's just different than, I think.
He's more of a storyteller.
Yeah, he's for sure a storyteller. A lot of
the lean in.
Anecdotal stories that kind of connect the tether. So just to write a different way of teaching. That's what what I appreciate about always hearing any kind of teacher is everybody's so different.
Yeah.
And you can teach the word of God differently. You don't have to be, like Jason or whoever. You can just teach. And Grant is really comfortable with who he is and his style of teaching. And that good old boy farmer every now and again comes out. Yeah. And so it's cool. I joked with Joe. So we're gonna go. So I taught last week, Grant, Joe is teaching. And so it's like 3 weeks in a row of like giant, tall men.
Yep.
I'm teaching. Like
giant, tall, hairless
men, right? And then eventually Kenny will be on there, and we'll size it back down. But yeah, no, it's cool, right? Like seeing Grant. Somebody was like a couple weeks ago. They were like, "Are you that one guy who used to come all the time, Grant?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "I can see though. I get that.
Yeah.
Big, tall beard. That's fine. Big guy."
A staff member that shall remain nameless, while we were talking about our weekend, showed me a picture, and it's do you know who David Harbour is? He's an actor. He's from Stranger Things. He also plays the Red Guardian in the MCU.
Yes,
isn't like Black Widow.
I also got that picture.
Yeah. It was like, I think this is the guy who preached this weekend.
Yeah.
I was like, well, so Grant, if you're listening, you look like a famous dude. So
yeah. But again, the sermon was great. To his point, not a lot of guest teachers teach that text.
Yeah.
Right. And what's great about Grant, literally,
teachers are teaching that text.
Oh yeah, not a lot of teachers. So we just, hey Grant, can you do one of these weeks? Yeah, man, this is the week I can do. And we were like, hey, here's the text. He was like, great, I'll make it work. You know what I mean? Like, like so cool that Jason has that relationship with him, and he knew like, oh yeah, he'll make this work.
Yeah,
he's gonna teach the Bible, and teach God's people the word. So it was cool
for sure, man. And a couple of things that stood out to me. One, you highlighted, right, that it just makes sense that these guys have this connection, because of Grant's history with adoption, right? Like, and how close to Jason's heart that is, right? And then the other part of it that I was just thinking as I left this weekend, I was like, hey man, that felt like while it was preached differently than any of our communicators might preach it, that felt like a message you would hear at this church on a given Sunday. It was really high in conviction, really like exegeted the text well, and like, it made me go, man, I really need to think about this,
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that was interesting, he brought up the church body itself stepping up and not so much the church. And he gave some examples of like, even his personal story of like, he knew a family that was like, hey, we're way past the age of adopting kids, but we know you want to, so let us support you financially. So I thought that was cool, just hearing how just one moment of Grant's life, and they were able to adopt, and now his son is in college, and just seeing that and knowing a little bit of that story was cool. And I hope that even hit a note with a lot of our people of thinking deeper of how to support our people and how to support these young widows and older widows, and even to think
single moms, foster care kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a need, and one that just keeps growing.
Right.
So if we can serve it, even better. So
yeah, no, for sure.
Obviously Grant's not here with us. So is there anything else you guys can think through of we could have dug in a little deeper in the message or the section of verses?
No,
I thought of something and I pointed at Josh and he shook his head at me. He's like,
taking you off. No, it was cool. Again, one of the things I didn't get to talk through. So long story short is I originally had this text, and then we had to switch some dates around. We had to add in, I think we had to add an intro into 1 Timothy, I think is what happened. But anyways, we pushed the weeks and it kind of messed us up. So originally this was the week I was going to teach. I was going to teach this text. And so I had actually studied for this whole thing, and then went, wait a minute, I'm not teaching that text. I'm teaching the one before that. So anyhow, I had read and tried to study about that whole list part too. And it was really interesting that, the thing that Grant mentioned was that when the widow got on that list, they did take a vow to no longer, to be celibate, to not get married. And he is right. It is kind of what we would think of a nun in a way, right? That they would just serve the church and they would do this thing. And so clearly Paul had already had people in Ephesus who had been on the list and broken the rule. Like in that short amount of time, it had already happened. Because his examples were as some are in the habit of doing. So it had already kind of occurred. And it is the one thing we're talking about. It is the only place that remarriage is mentioned in the Bible, in the New Testament. And it's around the idea of a widowed lady, right? Not, that is that is the qualifications that Paul would give. And so when we talk through, as Jason teaches all the time, remarriage and all of those things, this is one of the things we look to go, Paul actually did give permission and he gave it here. And it's actually, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation. Yeah. Do it. You need to do it. Because if you don't, these things could happen. And just as a very practical, and we talked about this last week on the podcast. If you get remarried and he says have children, well, then you have people to take care of you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, not in a harsh way, but just the reality of where they were. Having kids was a really big deal. So I really did appreciate that about Grant. He did a really good job at 8. I was in and out at 11 and 9:30. I heard most of it, but I'm not sure the level he went to at the other services. But he lifted up at one time, hey, there are some ladies and moms who work.
Yeah.
And then there are some ladies who stay home and take care of their kids. And he didn't like diminish either, but held both of them and actually tried to raise up. Like, hey, having kids is a righteous thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
dedicating your time to being a mom is a good thing.
And both of the examples of the widows, the young widow and the old widow.
Yeah.
It was they had children or have children.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is and I think it's important because in our current context of culture, that is the thing that, is actually being pushed against. Like, how much of the 35, I'm happy and I can do whatever I want. I can go take all these vacations. And it's lifted up as now the thing to pursue, to wait, to have kids or don't have kids at all. And it actually is the very first thing God told his people to do. And so it's actually a good thing to have kids and to do that if you're able to, right? Physically. And so, but even now you can still do the foster and adopt. So I love that he talked about both of those and said, man, this is a righteous thing that women are doing. And so hopefully even moms who are not a widow or not, when you look at the text, like, I don't know if this is about me, walked away going, okay, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Wherever they may be.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool point that he added in.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, we have no questions, so it's going to be a short podcast. Is there anything else?
It's going to be a shorty.
Dave had a cool question. Yeah.
I was thinking, just, let me give you some context. I'll give you some background. So my grandfather, the dude who was like my primary male influence in life, right? Like my dad wasn't always in the picture, but he was. He was a foster kid, and he had the unique life of being with the same foster family for his entire life.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's some twists and turns to the story, but the long story short is him and his biological sister were both in the same foster home for him, infancy. His sister's a couple years older than he was, and all the way through to adulthood.
Right.
And so that was his family. Right. And so there's this thing in the back of my mind about how valuable that is, right? How invaluable, right? Like that's
right.
Even though my grandfather was an orphan, he still had a family, a consistent family for his whole life. And I think about the idea of what it would be like for my family, even, and Lisa and I have talked about this. Isn't like, I'm not letting a cat out of a bag of what it would be like for us as a family to lean in and try to help in whatever way we can with the idea of fostering or adopting. And then it's just, there's so many obstacles, so many, whether they're practical or just philosophical reasons that we're like, oh gosh, that couldn't work. And so the question was, because that got me thinking from what Grant had to say this weekend, was what is something that you feel, these three guys in this room, maybe God has called you to that you don't know how it could be possible. Like you don't see a way that you could make it happen or a way that it even could happen. Just throw that up to the room.
Yeah, that is a very real question. My wife and I obviously, so my whole life I have worked with underprivileged kids. It's been most of the story of my life. My mom and both my mom and aunt both were adopted. So our family obviously comes from that as well. So we've always talked about what would it look like. I ran an after school program and there was a ton of kids that I'd be like, man, I just take them home. They just come live with Josh. Now practically, I don't know what that looks like in our house. Man. All my rooms are full.
Same.
Yeah.
Like every one of them. Not like I could squeeze another child in there full. I could get a bed, but they get real weird about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and Kenny brought it up. I mean, Grant's whole line was, you have to find a reason not to do this. What is the reason not to? And so, again, man, we kind of have that same wonder is to go, man, there's so many kids and families and stuff that we know need help, right? And so that for sure is one of them. But honestly, the other one is what we talked about last week. My wife and I went home last week and went, well, we're going to be caring for my mom. And it seems as a fleshly thing, super impossible.
Whew.
Like really, like I just don't want to do it. It would be a lot easier not to. Like, and again, this is a long story, and it's just, and a lot of us have this. This is just so many different pieces to the puzzle, but it would make my life easier if I didn't. Again, I had a fine childhood. It's not like my parents abused me in crazy ways. And so there was love and all of that, but it was incredibly just unhealthy for us as a kids growing up, looking back, what I was exposed to and the things that happened from that. Again, I'm an adult now. We got some other things that we can talk. But anyways, like that seems to me like when I was even writing that, man, it seems almost without the Spirit of God, almost impossible. Man. It does. It's just, I'm like, man, God, I don't know if I can do this. I know I'm going to. I don't know if I can do this. Like it feels impossible to do. Right. And when we work through CTO, those, CTO stuff, like the actual forgiveness stuff. Right. I thought I had done all that, but then it was like, Josh, you got a little bit deeper to go. And so it has been this process, and my heart has changed towards that. But I just am like, man, all right, God, I wanna be obedient. I want to figure out what this looks like. I want to do the thing, God, that seems that is to your heart, because that's who I want to be. And so again, I know without the Spirit of God, I would not choose that. I would not even think about it, man. I would just think about doing my own thing. So that's one of the things for sure.
Another piece I think about your guys' life, right? You got these 4 boys, they're kind of nuts, but they're all great kids. And like, you don't have a dysfunctional house. That's the thing. When Lisa and I talk about this, we have a loving home.
Yeah.
Like,
it matters.
And it's a good place. It's a safe place for a kid to be.
Yeah.
Like, is there any argument for not trying to find somebody who doesn't have that and provide that for them?
To your point, your grandpa changed his life.
It did.
Yeah.
And in turn changed your life.
It did.
So there is for sure my mom. She was adopted. My grandparents couldn't have kids, and because of my grandma, I'm a believer. Yeah. Right. And so again, the generational stories are my kids are in normal home because of a man and a woman who got married and couldn't have kids and adopted this lady, and that grandma loved me like I was blood.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, it is this piece of it when you look at what, and my grandma's and grandpa both, they love Jesus. And again, this is what you do. Like to Grant's point, like this is just what you do.
Yeah.
You do these things.
It was an early church distinctive, right? That's one of the things the history books wrote down about Christians in the early church.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things too we talk about, and we've been talking about obviously the last couple of years, is just generosity.
Yep.
Like, what does that look like? And it seems impossible to sacrifice and say no. And God gives you a number to be faithful to. And you're like, I don't think that's even, that seems crazy. That's what my wife and I, when we were praying, and it was like, nah, that's not it. Nah, we're going to do that again. Oh, God. And it's like, this is great. Like, man, God, we have a young family. But it's like, no, this is what you do. This is the mark of discipleship, being generous. I know there are tons of other people in our church who probably gave more than they ever imagined they could.
Yeah.
And didn't know how they would make it.
Yep.
They look back over this last couple of years and go, look how faithful God has been. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And so some of those things that I think we all have those places, and most of us, when we jump out and do the thing, we do kind of look back and go, wow, man, look what God did through this. I think that's why we have to take those steps.
Yes. Yep.
Right? So it's a lot less, well, David and Lisa did this, or Nate and Sarah did this, but look at what God did, and only God can get the glory, because there's no way this could happen.
Yeah. And the cool thing, even just for our household with our Excel giving, it's given us an opportunity to even give more to the people in our circle. Because we've strategically have thought, okay, we're gonna financially do this big step, and it's gotten us to where we're looking at our finances, and we're going, hey, we're not gonna do that big dinner. We're gonna eat in a little bit more, and it's like, okay, we're saving a little bit more money, and this need comes from one of our friends, and it's like, well, we can help them, and that's costing us our going out money, and like we love to eat good food, so it's like,
Amen,
we're gonna eat good food at home.
Amen.
But we've been able to also give to our friends that have been in need, and that's been really cool to just see, like, man, God's been providing for us all the way through here, and we've been able to support different ministries and different other things. So it's been an awesome
and
journey.
Essentially that's what Grant said.
Yeah.
Like, your job, when he made his point,
just pointing,
is to see the need and to do it.
Yep.
That's it.
That was the beginning of this. So he started off with that.
And so if your heart is directed in that manner, and to David's, there will be some are super practical.
Yeah.
But you change, what Nate's saying is Nate changed his heart and his perspective.
Yep.
To go, God, I want to be more generous.
Yeah.
Well, that means I have to sacrifice. And then needs come, and I can go, I can actually do this now.
Yeah.
Great. Today's point, God, I want to be obedient. I want to do this thing. God, God, how does this work? And sometimes you get to these things and go, God, this does not seem like it can work. Yeah, God goes, oh, we can work.
Yeah.
It's not that it won't be without challenges or difficulties, but it can work as long as we first put ourselves in the place to go, all right, this is who I want to be. I want to be this kind of follower. I want to be obedient. I want to do the things God calls me to. And it is with little, as you're faithful, God calls you to more.
Yep.
And I think that's the testament. And so when we redirect and posture our heart, so I love that he started that way, to your point, to go, if you see the need, Josh, it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
If you have, again, it's Galatians 6:10, as you have opportunity, do good. Okay. Great. I can't do this by myself. Hey, David, I got this person I can't help by myself. Can you help? Oh, yeah, man, we can help.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, great. And then it goes, man, me and David can't help. Man, let's go ask one of the pastors. Let's see if let's ask our church. Maybe our church could help in this situation. So like, that's how the steps go. But at first, I got to recognize and see it and be aware that other people are put in my place.
Well, that's part of the sovereignty and providence of God.
Right.
Right. He puts people in your life on purpose. It's not like you ran into this random stranger randomly in a chaotic universe. No, there's plan and intentionality. This person came into your path because either you can help them or you can help them find help.
Yeah.
And he's redirecting our perspective
Yep.
to see it that way.
Yep.
But I have to do the work on the front end to ask God to continue to change my heart and soften my heart, and to see again texts like this last couple of weeks to go, oh, it matters that we do this right.
Yep.
That we don't mess this up, that we see this thing. Oh, okay, what does vulnerable mean? It's single mom with the kids. There's this kid who was raised for a season with a single mom. I get that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. There are people who stepped in and helped us out, and family members, but there are also dads and, surrogate dads that were coaches that's why I coach. And I've said that many times on here, but that's the reason. Because there were these guys who at different points along the way just kept me just kind of going on the right track.
Yeah.
Just enough, that eventually I go, man, those people are really important. Oh, I want to be that for someone. Oh, great. I'll do that. So, but it's kind of seeing some of that stuff. And so yeah, man, I think it was a good word this weekend, a good challenge. I think everybody should have walked out going, oh,
yeah,
I have a responsibility.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but I mean, kind of back to the question, Nate, was there anything like that for you, man? Like, I know you've been kind of sharing and commiserating with us, but
yeah, I think the biggest one here in the future, both Sarah and I, come from big families. So we have this vision of having a big family. And right now, it's not looking like we might not be able to have kids. So we're just being faithful in that and just trying to, listen to God and figure out what the next steps are. So, but yeah, kind of like you, Josh, when my parents got the divorce, I had a lot of just godly men that came in and, brought me over, and not just me, like a bunch of other guys. So having that community at a young age of like, hey, we're going to share a meal together. We're going to go through some hard things. And, going through that, it was like, I want to be that exactly with the coaching for you, but wanting to be that. So, so just trying to figure out what does that look like for us. And, as we go on, if it's not having our own blood family, it's how do we build a spiritual family around us, and how do we pour into either fostering or adopting or.
Well, again, man, I'm sitting here today because my grandma adopted my
just
mom.
a few generations ago.
Too, man, and the difference you can make, right, changes not just eternity for me, but again, man, because of my grandma and my church, I think of all the places I've gotten to go and the people I've gotten to know. Like, I take those people with me everywhere I go. They're just as part of the story as I am.
Yep.
Because of the sacrifices that they made.
Yeah.
And the things that they did. It wasn't always, again, perfect. But that's the thing that we get to do as believers, that God gets to redeem the brokenness of the story.
Yeah.
Even, because again, we all get married and go, yeah, I want to have kids. And when it doesn't happen, you're like, like, it's crushing. I'm sure, man. I can't even imagine. Like, my wife and I aren't there. But then to watch how God can redeem something that is painful to be something so amazing and incredible. And so, man, I think you and Sarah would be awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Shoot. Yeah. He's going to be the fun grandpa when he gets to that. All the grandkids going to want to come hang out with Grandpa Nate. He probably have a cool name too.
Yep.
Not something boring. Not something awesome. Yeah, you're gonna have some fun name. I'm just gonna be Grandpa.
It's funny, man. Yeah, you talk about that, the redemption. Maybe just some of it is because we're just so short-sighted. Like, we don't see the long game. God is so good at the long game, right? That's his
terrible
job.
At it, bro.
But I mean, gosh, just you talk about carrying that people that you've gotten to meet with you everywhere you go, and then it's just 2 generations ago, these people who were faithful, and then there are 4 boys with a mom and dad who love each other and love Jesus. And that line is straight through.
Yep.
Woo.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
And that's all of us. We have this opportunity to, wherever we're at, to reset or to keep it going forward.
Yeah.
Like, if you are a part of a generation or generations that have been faithful, you have a responsibility to carry that forward.
Yep.
If it's not your story.
Yeah.
It's okay. What are you going to do to change it? And to go, okay, with this generation, with this family, it's going to be different. Again, now that it's challenges and it's difficulties and it's
nobody's pretending it's easy.
Yeah. But you're determined to go, it's going to be different. Then some of you are going, I don't know, different. Okay, great. You have, I think, even a harder thing. You got to keep this ball going forward. Yep. Right? I kind of got to start something new with you, which is great for my personality. Some people, they got to keep it rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
And that is a testament, not just to you, but to your generations of family who've loved and served Jesus and have done, amazing things. Part of why I love being a part of this church in particular, 100 years.
Yeah.
It's funny that's what Ken talks about in a couple of weeks. Just spoiler alert. When Ken's up here, he's talking about generational faith. He's talking about what it means to keep the ball running for your family and for future generations.
100 years here making disciples. That's a long time to be. To your point, one of the things, David, we talked about was this church uniquely cares about foster and adoption.
Mm-hmm.
That's a legacy, a story that, again, we need new people to step in and carry that ball forward so that people.
Oh, we can't lean on past stories for that. That's not. That just means that 10 years ago that really mattered.
Yeah,
does it still matter the same?
Does it still matter the same today? So some of those things. So maybe you guys talk about that in yours. A great question to Dave's point in your groups this week, or just with your family over dinner. Hey, what is the impossible? What is the thing God calling us to that seems impossible? Seems like there's no way. And then how do you start praying and just believing?
Yeah.
Maybe God could do something awesome. Or maybe you're in that season and you thought that, and you're on the backside of what seemed impossible, and you could share that.
Yeah.
And you could remind all of us of like, oh, that's how, of course God came through that way. Or, man, I didn't even think Josh, he was going to come through. And let me tell you how he did.
Yep.
So those are always the cool stories that we love hearing. So come find us and share that with us.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, we hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you guys Sunday.